video we're going to install this large TV onto a plasterboard wall. This TV actually weighs in at 30 kilograms, which is about 66 pounds. So it is absolutely critical that you fix any TV like this to the studs. In most cases, with most TV brackets, you should be able to find 2 studs. That is the ideal scenario for a plasterboard wall. Unfortunately, with this wall, the studs are actually spaced at 900 millimeters apart, which made this fixing very difficult. If you do have the option of using a TV stand, that is the much better option in scenarios like this. Under no circumstances would I ever recommend fixing a TV to a plasterboard wall without fixing to the studs. Included with your bracket, you should get a kit like this. This will have all of the screws and washers and fixings that you need to fit the TV bracket. This one actually also comes with a spanner at the end there and also a spirit level. I do have to say that you would probably struggle if you tried using that spanner, but it is good of them to include it in the kit. We've actually had a bit of a problem with these brackets. Originally we did buy the exact bracket which was specified on Amazon as being the correct one for this model of television. However, when the brackets came, I actually fixed those parts to there where the screws are, and that actually meant that this would not fit on the bracket which fits to the wall because they were spaced too far apart. We actually contacted the guy and he just said that we could keep the bracket but never offered us an alternative, so that meant that I had to adapt these to fit. So I made these aluminium stretcher plates, which are made from 10mm thick aluminium. The countersunk on the other side, and then I fixed those to the TV. That then brought these 2 pieces further in so that they would fit on the bracket. And I can actually show you that. The bracket goes in there like that. So a good tip before you start is to ensure that the bracket on the wall fits the brackets once they are fixed to the TV. This is the stud partition wall that we're going to be fixing to, and this is actually a very thin partition, so we do have to be very careful with this. If you take a look here, this is the actual door frame and this is the partition, and it is a very thin partition. They aren't normally this thin. That is one of the screws that has been supplied with the bracket. And if we were to use that, there's every chance that that would actually stick out of the partition because it is a little bit on the long side. Well, it's not actually too long. The actual partition is a bit on the thin side. They are normally thicker than this. So if we were to use the screws that they have provided, there's every chance that that would stick through into this bedroom, which is what we definitely do not want. So I've therefore got some shorter coach screws, and they are slightly larger diameter, but they are about 1 inch shorter. To identify where the studs are, we're going to use these magnets, which are for a pin board. So these are very useful because they're like a little skittle and they've actually got a small handle that you can hold. So by using one of these, we can actually find the screw heads which are fixing the plasterboard to the studs. So we're just going to take the magnet and carefully slide that very lightly all over the wall, and you can see that we've actually found a screw there. So there's obviously going to be one somewhere underneath that. Show you this from the side. You can see that we've got 4 magnets going up the wall, and that is where one of the studs is. So we can now hook the TV bracket in position like so, and that is where it will sit on the wall. So we can now use that. We can take a couple of measurements. We do need to get this at a specific height, so I have worked out where the centre of the bracket is going to go on the wall. So as you can see, there's a screw there and the screw there. I've actually tried going in both directions, and unfortunately the next stud is 900 millimeters away, which is almost 3 feet. So there's absolutely no chance at all of us picking up another stud. That means that we're going to have to fix this into one stud and then use a couple of plasterboard fixings. And if you look at the bracket, it does actually have a directional arrow on that needs to be pointing up. So that is where the bracket needs to be. We've got it at the correct height, and I just need to mark a fixing hole. Now of course we know that there's a stud there, but we need to find out where the centre of the stud is. So I'm just going to use this small screwdriver and I'm going to push that in there. And that is very solid. So obviously that is where the stud is. So I'm now just going to move to the side by about 15mm and I'm going to try it there. As you can see, that's gone straight in. So I'm just going to try to the other side of that. And that is solid there. Just move another 10mm along. So that one there is missing the stud. That one's hitting the stud. That one's hitting the stud. And that one is hitting the stud. So we need to ensure that we go dead in the centre of those holes. What we don't want to do is get on the edge and risk splitting the stud. So I'm going to tape an envelope to the wall there to catch any dust. And these are the corkscrews that I'm going to be using to fix it to the stud. So I'm going to drill a pilot hole using this drill bit. And of course when you do this you don't want to go too deep. I've now just had the spirit level on the corner there. And I've checked it for being level, and I've actually drawn on the inside of there using a pencil. So I now need to remove the bracket from the wall again. I'm now going to use a spirit level. I'm going to get that dead level. And then up there I'm actually going to mark the next fixing hole. So we can now take a coach screw. I'm going to use 2 washers because they are only thin. I'm going to get the bracket, ensuring I get it the correct way up. And I'm just going to screw in the top fixing. So now we've got it level, we can now mark some more fixing holes. So I'm going to mark dead in the centre of there. And dead in the centre of that one. And we'll put 2 additional fixing holes there. I'm now going to drill the first fixing hole. Then I'm going to use a 13mm wood bit. And then I'm going to take a zip fix fixing. These are absolutely superb. And these are one of my favourite fixings. These used to be called snap toggles. So this simply goes through the hole like that. Once it's in there, you let go of it, that bit will fall down. And you then pull that back and then slide the plastic part down there towards the hole. So hopefully we'll have enough clearance at the back there for these to work. And we've got absolutely no chance. So I'm going to have to try the next best thing, which is a spring toggle. That takes about 30mm for it to get in the cavity and work, but I've got a feeling that that's going to hit the wall on the other side and they won't actually spring open, so we're just going to have to try it. I do need a slightly larger hole for this. So I'm just going to try this. If it does go in, I'll just unscrew it and lose it down the cavity. But at least we'll know then if it's going to work or not. But we can actually get that to work, so that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to unscrew this and that should drop into the cavity. Unfortunately, because we're using spring toggles, it is going to complicate matters slightly, and it is going to mean that we're going to have to remove the bracket from the wall, because all 4 of these will need pushing in at the same time, so that is going to make it a lot more difficult. But you can only do what you can do, and unfortunately I have no idea who's built this partition wall, but they've not done a very good job of it. So I'm now going to have to drill the remaining 3 holes out to 16mm. So we now need to remove the bracket from the wall completely. These spring toggles actually come with screws which are that length. They're actually far too long. So I'm going to put these shorter ones in. Hopefully these will be long enough. We can't actually try them until we push the bracket onto the wall, because if you try using a spring toggle you tend to lose it down the cavity when you remove the screw. So I'm going to use a repair washer, put the screw through there, that then has to go through the bracket, and the spring toggle has to go on the back. So by using these, it does make the job a lot more difficult, because you have to feed all 4 of these through the holes at the same time. And you'll see that I've pushed the 4 spring toggles through, and I'm ensuring I've got the arrow the correct way up. We can now take this to the wall, and we can now try to feed the spring toggles through the holes, which isn't going to be easy. Well, that was an absolute nightmare. I'm now going to tighten a couple of those up. They are actually one of the best and strongest fixings, these. They're just very difficult to use in a situation like this. And you'll notice that I put some washers on there, that's so that it doesn't stick through the other side. So I'm now going to put the spirit level back on there and get it level before I start tightening these up properly. So I've now got that totally level, and we can now tighten up all of the fixings, ensuring that these 2 are very tight, because they're the 2 that are going into the studs. And finally we can tighten up all the other fixings. I'm now going to lift the TV and put it on the bracket, And then once I've done that, I'm going to tighten up those screws using a screwdriver. They are what holds the TV brackets onto the bracket we've just fixed to the wall. I hope you found this video useful. If you have and you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel.